zero from a hero. Let's
Correct.
talk about building of a hero first, and we'll come down to zero again. So before the billionaire Vijay Mallya, before the controversy, before all of this flamboyance and scandals and things that people talk about, who was Vijay Mallya as a child? Where were you born? What did you do? How was your childhood? Tell me about it.
Born in Calcutta, moved to our hometown Bangalore, went back to Calcutta, did my schooling there, did my college education there in Calcutta. And my upbringing under my father was a very normal, I would say strict upbringing.
Really?
Yes.
Tell me an incident, strict childhood.
Two things. When I was still in school, class 9 at La Martiniere in Calcutta, my marks were not very good in class. I was a mid-ranker, only because I took a lot of interest in sport and extracurricular activities. I didn't concentrate fully on studies and my mark sheets. And he told me, and I think most people know it, he was exceptionally intelligent, was a product of the Doon School, I think topped his class. So he expected me to also top my class. Nevertheless, he said something to me which I think I remember till today. Two things made a profound impact. One, if you're not good enough, you are not going to step into my shoes. And the second thing he said, do you realize that while I say step into my shoes, there may not be any shoes at all, because the government and its then socialist policies may have taken everything away from us, and the only thing I can leave to you is your education. So take it seriously. I think I repaid some amount of faith because for my last 3 years in school, 9, 10, 11, I think I came within the top 3 in class, and he was quite happy about that.
So weren't you a little spoiled as child?
Spoiled? Oh my God, I was anything but spoiled.
Really? You had all the fancy toys, you had all the things that you used to...
Absolutely no fancy toys at all. That's completely false narrative. After I passed out of school, and when I went to St. Xavier's College to study BCom, my father was very clear. You go to college at 6 o'clock in the morning, and when you finish at 10:30, you go and work a full day at the office as a management trainee. I was put on a stipend of 400 rupees a month, and that 400 rupees never increased right the way my time through college. So that's all I got, 400 rupees a month, and was working, in those days, Phipson and Company Limited, Old Courthouse Street in Calcutta, every day after college.
Aren't there stories that you used to go to college in a very fancy car and you removed the silencer just to show the noise of your car, the loudness of your car, and you were always a show off, weren't you?
I was no show off at all, and the fancy car that I have was a second-hand Standard Herald.
So where are these stories coming from?
I don't know. It's people's narratives, people's perceptions. That's why it's important to correct those perceptions. You know, talking about noise, even a fatfatia in Delhi makes a hell of a lot of noise. You don't have to drive a fancy car to make a noise down the street.
So you are telling me that all these stories of you having fancy toys, remote control cars, and then fancy cars with loud noises, all of this is false?
Well, I may have tampered with the silencer of my car.
Okay.
Because I was always into kind of fast cars, loved motor racing and stuff like that. But, it still remained a Standard Herald.
But why did you do that? Like just to show off like the noise and everything?
Look, if you can modify the silencer of a car, like you can modify the top end of a car's engine to make it go a little quicker. That's the basics of motorsport.
But how were you as a child, personality-wise? Were you confident? Were you a little arrogant?
This is all a question of perception. Arrogant is also your understanding of arrogance, my understanding of arrogance. But I'll tell you one thing. I was always self-confident. And whenever I was invited to give talks at various universities and educational establishments, I always told the youngsters that when they start off life, please self-confidence that will bring out the best in you. And I still believe that till today. And because I started young, I am passionate about youth empowerment.
But this would have not been the case always. As a kid, we all have like a lot of insecurities. It's not always confidence. What was your biggest insecurity when you were growing up?
I don't. Yeah, probably the biggest insecurity was when the examination results were due, and what my dad would have to say about it. But no, beyond that, my life is pretty plain and simple. Great bunch of school friends, great bunch of college buddies in Calcutta, not the glitzy lights of Bombay, and yeah, so it was pretty normal, but nothing fancy. But I had a very strict set of supervisors at work who were clearly instructed by my father to be tough with me, to make sure I worked my butt off, and I'm none the happier for it. That's what made me.
But did you ever get to a position or in a thinking as a child that one day I'll be powerful, one day I'll be very rich?
No, absolutely not. I mean, how could I be so presumptuous? Here I had a dad who was hands-on, working 24/7, young, and who told me that if I didn't measure up, I'd have no place in the business. So I couldn't be presumptive, could I?
But your father was a wealthy man. In those times, there were only few wealthy people. So you would presume this, right? Like, I will have all this wealth inherited. I'll be maybe bigger than my father, or maybe just have all of these things.
I didn't have any such aspirations in those days. And wealth was something that was very relative. And my father certainly was a very frugal spender. So irrespective of how much wealth he had, he certainly wasn't a spendthrift.
You said when you used to go to work, your father put strict supervisors.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What would those strict supervisors made you do?
Well, first of all, make sure that I came to the office on time, straight after college. It wasn't as if I'd sort of roll up whenever I wanted to.
Okay.
The second, I was given a clear set of tasks, marketing, advertising, tongue-in-cheek stuff, which caught your attention. And so I became fascinated with marketing. And I came away back